All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something really exciting, and we're going to look at exactly why the MERN Stack has become the absolute, undisputed champion of modern web application development. If you look at the landscape of development today, we are at a massive turning point. The tools we use to build the web are evolving faster than ever before, and one single stack has really risen to the top for creating those incredibly fast, responsive applications that both businesses and users are constantly craving.
So the really crucial point here is that we've completely moved away from this era of frustratingly slow full-page reloads. We're now living in a world that expects instant, dynamic experiences. Think back to the websites you used to visit, say, a decade ago. Every single time you clicked a button or submitted a form, the entire screen would just flash white while it fetched new data from the server, right? It was painful. Today, users expect web applications to feel exactly like native software. We're talking seamless, instantly responsive, and highly interactive.
Which brings me to a question. Are your tech skills stuck in the era of paper registers and clunky page reloads? Because if you're still relying on legacy systems, you are frankly missing out on the speed and efficiency that modern users absolutely demand. Whether you're an aspiring developer who's just planning out your learning roadmap or a seasoned professional looking to upgrade your tool set, sticking to outdated methods is basically a one-way ticket to getting left behind. We really need to focus on building for the future, not just maintaining the past.
So here is our agenda for today's explainer. First, the problem with legacy systems. Second, decoding the MERN Stack. Third, React, the front-end powerhouse. Fourth, the Node and MongoDB backend. Fifth, a real-world case study. And finally, number 6, the future of MERN.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the problem with legacy systems.
To really see how this all builds up from a very real problem, consider something almost every large institution has faced. Let's take an engineering college. In a lot of engineering colleges today, trying to manage attendance and grades with paper or older PHP systems means students and parents are constantly left waiting around for delayed, disjointed information. Actually, research from a recent applied science and engineering paper highlighted this perfectly. They pointed out that traditional PHP and MySQL setups, sure, they store data digitally, but they severely lack real-time updates. Imagine being a parent relying on a physical notice board or waiting for some sluggish web page to refresh just to see if your kid even attended class. It's error-prone, it's slow, and honestly, it creates a massive communication gap between administrators, faculty, and students.
Which brings us nicely to Section 2, decoding the MERN Stack. To solve this huge communication gap, the tech industry turned to a modern hero. Let's just demystify the jargon for a second and see exactly how these 4 specific technologies stack together to build a complete application. MERN. It stands for MongoDB, Express.js, React.js, and Node.js. Now, the absolute genius here is that it uses a single language across the entire pipeline, JavaScript. You aren't constantly switching gears between a specialized database language, a totally different backend language, and then yet another front-end framework. It's just all JavaScript, the whole way down, making it incredibly cohesive and incredibly fast to build with.
Let's dive a bit deeper with Section 3, React, the front-end powerhouse.
We're zooming in on the R in our stack, which is, without a doubt, the heavyweight champion of modern user interfaces. You might hear people call it a library or maybe a framework, but why is absolutely everyone in the industry insisting you learn it? Literally, whether you're looking at a 2026 developer roadmap or chatting with a senior software architect, React is constantly listed as the dominant, most in-demand front-end skill out there.
Developer Iman Musa really hit the nail on the head here. As he points out, React takes the wildly complex process of building interactive interfaces and just streamlines it beautifully. In fact, he notes that it makes building applications 10 times more efficient. 10 times! Instead of writing messy, repetitive code over and over, React lets developers build reusable components. So if you design a cool button or a slick profile card once, you can seamlessly just plug it in and reuse it across your entire application.
And this right here is exactly why your dashboard updates instantly without the page flashing white. It's a total game changer for user experience. Older systems really struggled because any tiny little change meant reloading the entire page. React solves this by keeping a lightweight, invisible copy of the web page in memory. It's called a virtual DOM. When the data changes, React compares this virtual copy with the actual web page and very cleverly updates only the tiny little piece that changed. Boom, instant speed.
All right, moving on to Section 4, the Node and MongoDB backend.
So React makes things look great and run smoothly on the user's end. But we need something seriously robust to do the heavy lifting behind the scenes, right? That's where Node and Express come in. They work together seamlessly to handle the server logic, the routing, and the security, basically acting as the bridge between your slick interface and your data. Node.js is the runtime environment that actually lets us run JavaScript on the server, breaking it completely out of the web browser. Then Express.js sits right on top of Node, giving us a super clean, simple way to set up API routes and handle security checks, like making sure a user is actually logged in before handing over any sensitive data. And right at the very foundation of the whole setup, we have MongoDB Atlas. It securely stores all that complex data in the cloud, just waiting to be queried at a moment's notice. Now, unlike old, rigid table-based databases where everything has to fit perfectly into rows and columns, MongoDB stores data in these flexible, JSON-like document collections. This is absolutely perfect for dynamic applications. I mean, think about a student's record. It might contain a totally unpredictable mix of personal details, attendance logs, and marks across a dozen different subjects. MongoDB handles that effortlessly.
Let's put all this into perspective with Section 5, a real-world case study.
Okay, let's dive into this real-world application from that research paper I mentioned earlier, just to see how this tech actually solves the legacy problems we've been talking about. Look at this contrast. Where manual systems and old PHP systems completely fail on speed and real-time capability, the proposed MERN system delivers multi-role, real-time security. The researchers in this study needed a student portal to handle attendance and grading. They looked at RFID or biometric systems, but those were wildly expensive and had privacy issues. They looked at PHP systems, but those lacked real-time functionality. The sweet spot? The MERN Stack. It gave them the exact real-time performance they needed without the massive hardware costs.
Look at how smooth this is. A student's request in the React frontend travels via REST APIs through the Node backend to fetch records from MongoDB. Imagine a student clicks a button to view their marks. React shoots a lightning-fast request over to the Express backend. The backend quickly turns around, asks MongoDB for just that specific student's marks, and sends the data right back to the screen. The whole process happens in literally milliseconds.
But wait, how do we make absolutely sure a student only sees their own grades? The system uses JSON Web Tokens, or JWTs. This provides a fast, stateless way to verify identity. In the past, keeping a user logged in was a huge, heavy burden on the server's memory. With JWTs, once a user logs in, they get a cryptographically signed token that just lives right in their browser. Every single time they ask for data, they essentially flash that token like a VIP pass. The server instantly verifies the signature and grants access. It is incredibly fast and completely secure.
And here we see that in action with role-based access control. This guarantees that a parent gets read-only access, while a faculty member actually gets the tools to upload marks securely. Because they built this using React components combined with those JWT backend checks we just talked about, the system easily isolates 4 completely different views. An admin can change everything. A teacher can upload grades, a student can view their own data, and a parent gets a strict read-only dashboard. The MERN Stack makes managing these complex permission layers just incredibly straightforward.
Finally, let's look at Section 6, the future of MERN.
So, we've seen how powerful the technology is, and how it solves real, frustrating institutional problems. But what does this actually mean for developers entering the market today? Well, because MERN allows companies to build and scale massive projects so efficiently, there are currently around 40,000 React jobs available in the US alone. Think about that. Companies want to release apps faster, and they desperately want systems that are easy to maintain as they grow. And that is exactly what this component-based JavaScript stack delivers. The demand is so intense right now that companies are readily paying $80,000 starting salaries. Yes, 80 grand, even to junior software engineers who have mastered this modern stack. If you put in the time to learn the basics, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then you master React and backend integration with Node and Mongo, you are quite literally placing yourself directly into one of the most lucrative and high-demand segments of the entire tech industry.
The market is clearly, loudly calling for these skills, which leaves us with one final question for you to really think about as you plan your own learning journey. Are you going to stay stuck in the past, managing clunky manual systems and sluggish full-page reloads? Or are you ready to build the real-time, interactive future of the web? The MERN Stack gives you the tools to do exactly that. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this provided a solid foundation for understanding modern web development. Now, get out there and start building.